Hi, this is David Boje, and I created some software based on pragmatism to help you understand what I call TogetherStorying. It's a coaching program, but you can go online and use the special software I created and use it to rewrite your story to something more positive, empowering, and get out of the stuckness if you're stuck in an old script of an old story like woe is me, right? It's good for everybody. I use it to train coaches. We use it for veterans and families, regular families, transformation of organizations. So let's look at it right here. So normally a story has a beginning, middle, and end, a narrative. It's been that way since Aristotle's 350 BCE, long time. Well, I created something called the anti-narrative. It has a lot of little wow moments that you capture that are fragments before they become a story, before they become a narrative, and they're not linear at all. So it's very easy to do. You pick a level of awareness. I label them with 7 B's to keep it easy. You pick a kind of question, a who, what, when, where, why, etc. kind of question. I got 7 kinds you can look at. And the 7 principles of true storytelling based on the book I wrote with Jens Larsen and Lena Brun. So 7 times 7 times 7 is 343 pathways through this program. And you only do one at a time. So you pick one level of awareness, a B, like going before, one W question, like why, or who am I, one of those. You pick a principle like helping stories along, right, or respecting stories already there, etc. So you pick one B, one W, one principle, and there's 343 combination of the 7 times 7 times 7 equals 343. And then I help you do something really cool with Peircean induction, deduction, abduction. So it's Charles Sanders Peirce in 1877, 1888, started writing about induction, deduction, abduction, his approach to pragmatism. So I kind of favor Charles Sanders Peirce. I see problem-saturated accounts. You have therapists for that. And if you're going to therapy, stay in it. I do coaching where in Together Storytelling, we're observing from standing on a cloud, and we talk about your feelings, we talk about your ways of thinking, we talk about your beliefs, your opinions, but we don't go down the rabbit hole, and we don't think it's a good idea anyway. I'm a Vietnam veteran, and I don't want to relive the PTSD, do you? And you probably don't want to hear me do it either. All right. So when you go to online to TogetherStorying.com, you click the big green button wherever you land in that website, and you'll go into our software. It's free, and we say welcome to your re-authoring journey. We're going to re-author your story, make it more empowering, get you out of the rabbit hole, not even going to go in the rabbit hole, not going to deal with your problem-saturated account. We're going to ask you some simple questions, and it all works this way. Here's the model, all right? You have 7 anti-narratives, 7 B's. The before, right? The beneath, going beneath your mask, the bets on the future, what are we in being, etc., etc. And then you get to the beyond, kind of more spiritual aspects if you're into that. And we have 7 W questions. Who, what, when, where, why, with whom, and we look at the wish you have, your intentions for the future. So, and then we have the 7 principles of true storytelling that come from the book with Jens Larsen, Lena Brun, and myself. And it came out in 2020. And people around the world are getting together in true storytelling groups, and they work through the principles. It's mainly for people wanting to change organizations, but I'm going to bring up the whole idea of principles here because a lot of them says, like, you must have timing. Well, is timing the only thing? Is there's also must be a place, or what about the whole idea of must be? Can we challenge the principles and get maybe change the principles in my own book with Jens and Lena? Right, that's what this is about. So the next thing we look at is your unique pathway, where you choose one of the B's, one of the things. This kind of gives you the sequence. You take a pre-test and assessment. Then for induction, that's about gathering cases and pragmatism. We ask you, what are your little wow moments, you at your best, little wow moments where you were the exception to your whatever that thing is in the rabbit hole. And then we go to deduction. Every story has a theory, right? Every anti-narrative fragment that's not yet a story, there's a theory there, some kind of belief, opinion, some kind of cause effect kind of problem solution. This craziness happened and then that happened. So we call it deduction. And then we look at abduction, which is a wild guess. It's an intuition. Charles Sanders Peirce created it, so we would have. It's not a hypothesis. Don't think of it that way. It's like a first impression, but you don't have any data. You don't have any cases. You don't know what it's about, and it drives you back into induction, creating cases, creating a theory, things like that. Then finally, when we take you through all that and you retell your story, answering the different questions and concerns and cases, you get a much richer story than when you started. You're rewriting, reauthoring, and we take you through a ceremony where you breathe in and out, simple ceremony, hold your breath, count to 3, and that's to make it somatically so you take the new story in. You start where you didn't have maybe such a great story, maybe you did, and we make it better and better, improving, more empowering, more positive future. And then you can kind of do the ceremony and you do it yourself. And then you get your results. You get these radar visualizations of your comparing your pre and post test assessment that you do. You get kind of an essay, a little bit of poeticness, taking the bits and pieces of your writing, putting them together. So you have something to take home and print, and you can copy it onto your iPhone or your computer, etc. And you get an invitation to return again because you've only done one awareness anti-narrative of the 7. You've only done one W question. You did the why or you did the who example. There's another one you could pick. And you've done one principle, true storytelling. So that means the combination, 7 times 7 times 7, 343. You've done one of the pathways. You got 342 to go. We're not going to do it all in one setting. You do your writing, you think about it a week, come back, and do another thing with a different level of awareness of what I call an anti-narrative, a different question, a different principle. You see how that works? I hope you do. Now, let's begin. You put in your name and an email address. Now, why I need your email? Well, the software needs it because we could send you the results. You can put a bogus name and a bogus email, but you can do that if you want. Just give permission for the true storytelling. So I'll put my real name in here, and then you'll answer a question like, if you need clarification on any concept, you can ask area question, and you can get an answer right there. All right, I hope that is helpful during the process. So the first thing you do is you select one of the B levels of awareness, what I call the anti-narrative. Here I've selected the beneath. Going beneath the mask, you could select any one of the B's. When you go through this, you select one at a time. Then you select a W question, a who, a what, a when, a where, a why, a with, a which. You're going to select one at a time. So here I selected the when, and I'm going from a linear cage to kind of an eternal dynamic continuum of notion of time. So that's the kind of prompts I'm going to get when I rewrite my story. And then you choose a principle. I chose principle 5, you must. help stories on their way, and be open to experiment. Now, here's where you're going to question this a little bit when we get to the principles section. Maybe you don't want to do an experiment. Maybe you don't like the word must and you want to reword it. So that sort of thing. So here I have my 3 selections. For my B level, I chose Beneath the Masks of Identity. I want to take off the mask, like you take off your glasses and react from my true self. W question, when? When was the first time that I noticed a mask, for example? Principle, you must help stories along. Wow, on their way. Be open to experimenting, new things, new way, try it out. Now, if anytime you want to quit, you can say, I had enough today, come back and do it another day. You go press the green button, takes you on to the next thing. You're going to do your pre-test, right? What's your understanding of beneath? What that means to your life? Maybe you don't know, so you disagree that you understand it, or you say, I agree a little bit, and then you answer the next question about my chosen question, the W, when, reveals about my story. Well, I kind of agree I know something about that. I understand my chosen true storytelling principle and how it guides, what is it? What's listed up here, principle 5, and I say, well, I'm neutral on that one. Then I go to, okay, what about induction, deduction, abduction? Do I understand that? Gathering a real life case is induction. It makes kind of sense. I agree with that. Deduction, how opinions become beliefs and become principles. I don't quite understand that, so I could disagree or be neutral. I understand abduction, quantum leaps, wild guesses, intuitive flashes. I think it's pretty easy to understand that. I agree. So then I deal with, okay, I can identify and name my feelings. So some people talk and they say, my feeling is I thought I was okay. Okay, I thought I was okay is not a feeling. That's a thought. A feeling is like love. It's like gratitude, joy. Peace is a feeling peaceful, serenity, feeling, right? Thoughts, that's what we think. I understand different kinds of thinking, though. Analytic, intuitive, creative, reflective. Maybe you don't understand all that, so you disagree. I understand how principles guide practical action. Okay. Yeah, principles. The word praxis. What is that? Maybe you don't understand it, so you're neutral or you disagree. But just to let you know, practice is you put your theory into action. You put your story into action as well, and that's praxis. Strange word. Now you look at, I understand induction, I understand deduction, you've done all that. So maybe you have a question. You say, what is induction? And ARIA, what I call the software, like ARIA is kind of a song, a melody. Building understanding from specific observed cases and experiences, like a scientist gathering data from experiments. In your journey, these are your little wow moments, real cases from your life where you experience your chosen B level of awareness. Wow, okay. I think it's pretty clear. Of course, I wrote it. Then you answer a question, share a little wow moment. So you type in the box and share it. And you go to the next question. I have a little wow moment of reading Richard Rorty, finding out that where I got the idea of Martin Heidegger. That's my kind of strange thing I wrote. And then it says, well, question 2, in the moment of touching something transcendent, what and were you aware of? Now this, I was dealing with a different principle. Let me go back to that one. I was dealing with, you must help stories along in the way and be open to experiment. Okay, so yeah, maybe that's cool. I was aware of transcending Heidegger, rejecting Digny and James and Dewey, I should say. I misspelled it, but I can go in there and correct that anytime that the screen is still there. And about respecting Peirce, which also abduction, and I can change the spelling. Then it says, okay, question 3 from the cloud perspective. Maybe we're standing on the cloud, not in the rabbit hole. Faith in the beyond and its fluent influence in everyday life. Well, I have faith in my inner divinity as a Christian and in my Jainism philosophy. Jains of India, like Buddhists, but it's a whole different thing. I do believe in karma and reincarnation. I know you may not do that. Muscle testing, I misspelled it, but I'm going to change that and get that right a little bit later. So, B level, W level principle, I'm going to do a deduction because every story has a deduction. Right? Some kind of theory. It's cause and effect, it's correlation, it's do this and then that'll happen. So we got a theory. You chose who from the masks, right? True self. Look in a little while moments. What opinion do you hold about who you are? My opinion. That's interesting. I'm often a people pleaser. I'm kind of disclosing, confessing. I also calm when I can go deep in very creative mode of writing. But I'm scared and startled. I'm in my PTSD mode. So go to the next question. How did this opinion about who you are become fixed belief? Because that's what happens to opinions. They become beliefs, right? And those beliefs get reinforced. And then you only look for things that reinforce and agree with your belief. And pretty soon you're off the deep end. So people pleaser mask came from my fear of abuse as a child. Be silent, be unseen was safe. It became a habitual way. Go to the next question. I can ask Ari a question. And if Ari can't answer it, it sends it to me. And that's why you want to put your correct email in there so it'll actually come to me. So here's going. How did this opinion about who you are become a fixed thing? So see what's happening here is it's helping me do inductive cases. It's helping me think through things. It's helping me understand my opinions and my principles. And so as I go through and I get up here, I got to question 3, complete the induction phase, or I can leave, say it's taking too long. So, or I can ask a question. So now I get to this thing about the principles, and I'm going to deal with abduction here. All right, so abduction, what is it? It's quantum leap guesses. It gives you a little definition at the top. We're challenging the principle. Oh my gosh, I want to challenge the principle of true storytelling for my own book. You must help stories along. Well, it says, get a little reminder in the box. It's just about your gut, right? Hunches, sudden insights. So I'm concerned about this idea of that you must help, right? I like to help people, but I must, right? So I get through the abduction phase. And here's some of my writing. Question 1. My intuitive leap is experiment sounds like science at a distance. I want Rorty here and Jane Addams with 2 Ds, notion of action and getting involved, and another person I like, Michael Boje. So I write kind of theoretical stories. You probably write very much more down-to-earth stories, but you can do it either way. And here I'm going through my intuitive leap and my wild guess about non-duality. And if you saw the video about this whole thing, I have some other videos about abduction, deduction, abduction, Jane Addams with 2 Ds, Richard Rorty, Charles Sanders Peirce, etc. I really like pragmatism. Anyway, you do a ceremony, and it takes you through breathing in and out. Hold your breath, count of 3, breathe out, hold your breath, breathe out, in breath, out breath. Doing that 3 times helps to kind of lock things in your head on the new story and in your body, somatic of the body. You're going to embody the story. So it's not just you typing, which is kind of an embodiment. I think things I know that things I type, I remember a lot better, and I work with my hands. My ancestors were farmers. I have a blacksmith shop. Stuff you don't need to know. Then we do a clap. 1, clap louder. 2, clap louder. 3. And we say, I'm embodying the reauthored story. I'm embodying this reauthored story. I'm embodying this story. Yeah, it's just a simple ceremony. Without ceremony, hey, there's no real learning going on. That's my idea. So you got completed these phases, and then I get my reauthored story. You began beneath, beyond, seeking what lies hidden, right? I have a little while moment, leading Richard Rorty, so it picks up parts of my story. It talks about the little while moment I have a reading Richard Rorty, my inner divinity, some spiritual stuff, talks about my deductions and abductions. I just wrote in there for the heck of it, I'm confused and suicidal. I have a subroutine where if anybody puts something like that, it's supposed to say, call 911, if you're a veteran, call your VA crisis line. Are you okay? Do you want to breathe for a while? I'm just checking in on you. Contact me. So this is, again, stay out of the rabbit hole. This is coaching, not therapy. And then we ask you some questions about who you can communicate or publicize your story to. State the news story in a sentence. Who will you tell first? Who can be your support group? I put my wife, Grace Ann. And that's because it's been shown in science that whenever you do one of these things, whether you're with the coaching or the software, as soon as you go back into talking to people and they expect you to behave the way you always did, even if you could tell a better story, they're going to say, well, what are you talking about? I thought you had that woe is me and PTSD story and all that. So you get a post-test assessment. You do your same questions you had in the pre-test. You answer them, and that's to see if you learned things that were from doing this whole piece of software that I designed. Here's another friend of mine, Siggy. He said I could show his responses. We did this today, and he had what I call the radars, the scores on the B level, the scores on the pragmatic inquiry, the feelings, thinking, actions. So, and then the post-test, and you can see that, especially that first radar, you see the little circles and then the triangle there, is a lot different in the post-test. So that's where he picked up the most learning. It says, congratulations, Siggy Treviso, you've completed the full triadic journey through 343 possible pathways. You selected one. Here you have some different scores in the questions. It gives you a summary analysis. It lets you copy your story. This is Siggy's story, and he really got into it, and he took it very seriously and rewrote and revised, and he wanted that new story. And he said, who are you going to tell? And he said, David, that's me. I'm thankfully a good friend and somebody he could tell it publicly to, and I can call him on it. It shows some of the scores he had. You can press the blue button at the bottom and copy that yourself into your own computer. Aria, I call the software, gives a little assessment, a transformation. Again, I call it smart intelligence. It's not an AI running crazy out there. It's, I build the decision trees and I build the guardrails and I say pull these information pieces together, and it does some simple tasks that I trust can be done effectively and efficiently. So your journey through the circle, right, the induction, deduction, abduction, publicized, ceremony, just kind of summarize what you did. Now here's the final screen, and it says what's next. You've done one of 343 pathways. You reauthor your story. It's yours to share. Keep yourself. You can return to explore another pathway. You got 342 to go. Then you only take a few minutes of your time. Come back in a week and try it again. Every time you choose a new question, a new level of awareness, a new principle, you're going to be asked different things. And trust me, people don't respond the same way when they're asked different questions and a different slant. They take it. You can support the mission by making a donations. People have done that. All donations go so we can provide free online and coaching service at a ranch with our horses, and then some sessions with the family. We like to coach the whole family system. And we also do, anything we do for corporations, or we do coaching for other people that are not veterans or family or first responders, or active duty. It's free to those people. We charge other people, and people make donations. That lets us provide our service for free. And we have a 501c3 for all that. If you go to TogetherStorying.com, right, you'll find all about our 501c3. So Siggy agreed to do a testimonial, and it says it's efficient and effective way to engage, a very deep introspection. In a single session, I was able to identify my flawed self-story and create more empowering, confident, boosting narrative that clarifies my goals and helps me. So he said I could use that testimonial. Thank you, Siggy. Appreciate that. You can download the complete results that you've seen here onto your computer with that green button on the bottom. The one on the right, you can start another journey. You can return to the main menu, and that sort of explains what I'm talking about when I talk about together storying. And